This first painting is Beauty is in the Eye of the Beholder. If you don't think that this gal is beautiful, that's okay. That's the way art works. Whereas this first painting was on sight, this painting is on hearing. It is called He That Has an Ear to Hear, Let Him Hear. It is about tolerance for various forms of music. There's the concert piano, the choir singer, the brass band, even the marching band. The next painting is Inflation, Recession, and Revolution. On one hand, you see inflation. It's on the left side. A woman is handing over a handful of cash for a scrawny chicken. Below, prices on houses go up. The corner house was sold for less than the townhouse, which has a price change even greater than it started out to be. Recession is where you have a slowdown in the transmission of wealth. Strikers are preventing construction from going on. And down below, you have a soup line where men are waiting in line for soup. And in the middle, you have a revolution going on. And whereas inflation is a spiral, depression or recession is a spiral also. And if you have enough spirals in a row, you complete a revolution as shown in the middle of the picture. The next painting is Death's Door. Here, a man has been in a hospital bed with traction, and he is finally passed on and steps through the door and is greeted by, what shall we say, his wife? Okay. This painting is The Burning Bush. It is a combination of the last three paintings. On the top is music or joy. In the middle is struggle, and at the bottom is the final reward. Now, I call this the burning bush because when Moses saw a burning bush, he looked, and what did he see? Well, if you can spell vertically, you will find out what he said by the three letters in the center of each painting. The next painting is Overwhelming the Overwhelming. Here you see an atomic bomb going off. This is an overwhelming experience of destruction. And here, above it, is the peace symbol, the sign of the broken cross. This is a sign of peace. Above that is the spectrum, the rainbow, the promise that there would be no more floods. This picture I call The Land of the Free and the Home of the Brave. Now, if you have wealth, you have a lot of freedom. If you live in poverty, sometimes you're brave just to get out of the front door. This is a cold day in hell. There's been a mine disaster, and miners are coming out. Some of them are going to the ambulance and being taken away. Others are greeted by family. And this might be closest to our earthly experience of a cold day in hell. This next picture is also called A Cold Day in Hell. Here, the fires of hell have gone out, and people are walking out. They are being greeted by angels who are directing them to family members. Others are walking out. One fellow's walking out with a cane, and he is going to the hearse to be driven off for final repairs. This we call crossing the Red Sea. The Israelites had to do it on foot, but if we had to do it today, I would hope we could do it in Red Cross trucks. This one is Revelations chapter 13. This is the monster that comes out of the sea, the monster with 7 heads and 10 horns, and the image of the beast which all men worship. The beast has a mortal wound and did not die. Now, the number of the beast is 666. Now, I have given this beast a name. I call it Dow Jones. This painting is the atomic nature of man and the molecular structure of God. Chemically, the human body is composed of 3 main elements: oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. They form ring molecules. Now, these ring molecules are held together and they form a large body of structures. I call it the atomic nature of man because God is the force that holds men together. The individual atoms I show with stick figures. This painting is the atomic nature of man and the DNA, which is just a continuation of the previous painting. Here we see the Tower of Babel. This shows various stages of communications. It starts from the beginning with animals feeding their young, animals feeding off of each other. It moves up to another layer of incentives for children. Above that, you see social communication, RSVP. You also see Boy Scouts signaling with their signal flags. Above that, you see the economic indicators, charts, and so forth. Above that, you see mathematical symbols. And above that, on the top ring, there is a quotation from Richard Nixon, which says, "What you thought you heard me say is not what I meant." And with that, the structure starts to crumble. There begins to be cracks. And society has had this happen several times. Next, we have the House of David. This is a utopian community in which, in the hexagonal shapes, you see crops. In the various triangles, you see living quarters, an occasional office building, and even a small farmhouse. Next, we have the Master's Call. This is a song that Marty Robbins sang. I was out a rustling cattle, 1,000 head or so, and started off on the road to Mexico when a norther started blowing and lightning flashed about. Well, the story is that the cowboy was thrown from his horse, the cattle were stampeding, and then he looked, and then a mighty bolt of lightning killed 100 head of steer, and he was saved. Next, we have Noah's Ark. All of us know about Noah's Ark. Well, this is even worse. Instead of a ship holding various animals, we have a spaceship with a few people, and they are transplanting plants. They're transplanting plants 2 by 2. And the land has been destroyed, and they're trying to replenish it. This one is the Hall of Injustice. Now, this is a maze. People are walking through the maze. They are hoping to find where justice will be meted out. There are 3 doorways which lead to the waiting room. One door has a college professor, which is handing out a degree, which is your passage into the waiting room. Another is a priest who, if you go to the church, maybe he'll be able to help you. The third is a toy soldier, the politics of the military. With that, you may also enter. And there on the corner, you'll find a salesman. He's trying to sell you on the idea of going through a door that leads absolutely to nowhere. Now, in the waiting room, there are people waiting and one busy secretary. And if you do the right thing, she might even let you in to where justice is handed out. When you go into the room where justice is handed out, you're told to leave, and the back door opens and someone comes in with a briefcase full of money. Well, that's the way the halls of justice work. Here we have 3 levels of justice. Each lawyer is showing you what he thinks the justice is. One lawyer is weighing a hammer against a gun, violence versus constructive forces. The other lawyer is holding up money versus a heart, emotions versus a payoff. Now, this is a courtroom, and each lawyer is standing on a level, and you are measuring one lawyer against another lawyer. The witness is in the background giving testimony, and the courtroom is outside to the right watching this, and the whole courtroom is on a level which is being measured against a third form of justice, whether the justice of the street or God's justice. Heart of the universe. Or is this earth of the universe? It depends on how you read the stars of the Milky Way. The early church thought of the earth as being the center of the universe. We have proven that wrong, and it may not be the center of the universe, but it could be the heart of the universe. This one is rearranging the deck chairs. This is a study of apathy. People are on deck, they're watching the churning ocean, enjoying it, but their own ship is about to go under, and nobody is, well, some people have their chairs washed from under them, and they're just going to another spot on the deck. And, the name of the ship is the USS Economy. I hope that's not the way it is. The stone of great price, which is cast in the sea. This is a rural setting, and there's a kid on the side of the lake, and he's throwing a stone, a skipping stone. And if you look carefully at the stone, you will see that it's in the shape of the island of Manhattan. The kid is throwing away city life for the country. Here we have the coin of great value, which is tossed in the fountain. This kid has grown up, and he's gone to the city. He is throwing a coin in the fountain. Unfortunately, you can't read the printing on this coin. It reads first prize in cross country. He has given up the country life, and this is the way life sometimes is. Obstacle in the road to progress. This is a desolate road, only one tree on it, only one tree on the land, and the road has been bent to go around it. Now, trees are often used as markers dividing land, and roads often go between properties. And instead of cutting this tree down, they left it. Sometimes the obstacles are more valuable than the progress. The star. This is not what most people think of when they think of the Star of Bethlehem. The star, as we define it today, is a large object in a fixed position in the sky. The planets were wanderers. They moved among the stars. But in the first century, a star was really any light in the sky, and it might well have been a spaceship, because after all, the angels had to get to the birth of Christ somehow, and instead of flying, they might have used rocket belts. Opportunity, past and present. One football team has dropped the ball. The other team has picked it up and ready to go the other way. The dog days of August. Here I show some dogs in various positions around the swimming pool. Some are sitting in lounge chairs on the side. Others are playing cards. A couple of puppies are watching TV, and a mother dog is coming out with refreshments. And I have 2 fire plugs as restrooms on various places about the pool. Caught in heavy traffic. Here you have much traffic like you might experience in New York City. You have a grid, and you're just sitting there, much like a bicycle rider on a stationary bicycle. This is how you feel. Next, we have a good dam. Here, there's a kid on the floor playing with blocks. His immediate family is behind him, his extended family, a doctor, a teacher, a clergyman. They are holding back the waters of this large body of water where bad things are happening. Here we have a patient wife who has been urged by her husband to go fishing with him. And she's now on the dock. She has a fishing rod, and the picture is called, "Yes, Arnold, I'll go fishing with you, you worm." And her fishing rod has a hook, and there's a worm in the grass, and she wants her husband to get on the hook. White collar, blue collar crime. On the top half, you see a patient who's anesthetized. I show a cutaway of his brain. You see that the control tower has nobody seated there. The spinal cord has been disconnected, and one doctor is holding up his arm while another has a cord feeding his pocketbook. Below, you see a mechanic who has hooked up a pulley to the drive shaft of your car. All your money and valuables are going to a conveyor belt which is feeding his oil pan. Here is the inside view of, well, it's my office before I retired. The window is very far away and it shows a wintry scene. My work surrounds me very much, and the outside is a distant experience. The next picture is the outside view. I've been offered an early retirement option, and now the outside doesn't look that bad. Insider or outsider? Well, after I retired, I was called back on a project, and here I looked out the same window, and I had to ask myself, was I an insider or an outsider? Happy birthday. This shows how us old folks celebrate our birthday. We have a relay race, and instead of passing a baton, we use a cane. On the other side, we play pin the tail on the donkey. We don't bother to use blindfolds. We just take off our glasses. And of course, in the middle, you see the cake with many, many candles. Here is a sample of several of my art pieces that you have just seen. This is a sample which I put together and I attached to two other panels of the same size. This panel shows a sample of my daughter's sculpture. My daughter is a sculptor, and actually she's an art teacher right now. This is some of what she did. This final painting is a painting of my wife's stained glass work. She did a stained glass work, including a Tiffany lamp. She did panels for the children, grandchildren that is. And, I particularly like the birdhouse that she did. You might see that there also.